great people. Kicked off with a Hollywood movie star, and I think we've got another star here in the making. Give it up again, I think, for David. Right, where do I start? Now,
Food?
The food's going to come in. I think what I'm going to do, I said it would be food, but I think it would be nice for you to get to know who David is, I think, for people who don't know, and get an idea of what this is all about. It's local leadership, but he took it from I think from an overview, from a world view, national view, and let's try and home it in. But the question is, who is David McLean? who are you to the people that don't know you? How old are you? You're briefly education, and how did you get to this point here? Really, what brought you to this point?
I'm 26 years old. I'm from Edmonton. I've lived in Edmonton now since I was 11. I was brought up in Newcastle, but I've lived in Edmonton since I was 11. This is my home. I feel passionately about Edmonton. Living here for so long, I've seen other places, and it's. I think in some senses, we're lagging behind in certain areas. So I think we have to kind of move forward in that sense. But I think that's the responsibility of those who live here to do that. I'm a school governor in Edmonton of 2 schools, Alma and Alwood. I've been sitting in on some of the meetings in there, and as I said, I think a lot of people should probably be sitting in there because a lot of decisions are being made, and a lot of the decisions of a lot of children are being made. And I don't know. I think some people, if they're sat in the meetings that I sit in, they might have something to say about the decisions made.
Okay. Is it true that you're the youngest governor in, could it be the country?
I don't know about the country.
But you're definitely in the borough.
I think in the borough, yeah. I think
it's a major achievement. Congratulations. Well done. It's a great example, I think, of how to get involved. So, okay, let's take this point about people not being involved in their community or being active citizens. What can we do what do you think, in your mind, we can do to activate that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said in my little remarks there, that there's a lot of people who have misconceptions about their abilities to change their environment, and I think it's a lot to do with the press. I think the press can there's so much information and so much misinformation that a lot of people get it's depressive. I think if you read the newspaper every day, I think you start getting depressed. And so when it comes to making decisions, I think people don't really want to make the decisions because they don't really know what the truth is. And so if you don't know what the truth is, it's like, well, can I gamble to make a decision? But unfortunately, decisions have to be made. And if you don't make them, other people will make them for you. So I think the way to attract people, I don't know. I mean, we were having the discussion outside with some of my friends saying, how can you get more people to come and discuss these particular matters, whether it's the local economy, whether it's gun and knife crime. I know some gun and knife crime does have more corporate support. I think it's a matter of corporate support, but then you're talking about money, in terms of advertising, in terms of attracting people. Yeah, I think most people come if they know it's a party. If it's a party, I think more people will come, and then you stick something underneath the party. So I don't know.
But there is apathy in most communities. I mean, we've got 30. The figure is 30%. There are only 30% of people coming out to vote. For the black issue, within that, there's even probably less of us coming out to vote. I'm a culprit of that myself. I don't know if anyone else is, but how are we going to get people out to vote? Why is there apathy? Was it apathy with both parties? This seems to have shrunk.
Yeah, for myself, I mean, I don't think that you do. Number one, if you're gonna, in terms of turnout, I think there is a correlation between high turnout and prosperity, possibly, and low turnout and despair and recession in an area. But on the flip side as well, some people don't vote because they're satisfied. There's many different reasons why people don't vote. But I think there's no reason why they shouldn't. I think the schools is the main problem in terms of getting people to vote. In terms of the political theatre that we see, in my judgment, it's always going to be like that. I think whenever there's conflicts of interest, it's about getting your votes out. So if it's the Labour or the Conservative, maybe not the Liberal Democrats because they're trying to get everyone, but those two major parties just get the people that they want to come out for them. They don't really care about anybody else. So if you're not in that bracket of interest, they're not going to really come for you. And if you're not affecting their party support in terms of money and things like that, they're not really going to come for you. So it's important, therefore, to identify what is your interest and then support men and women who are willing to push your interests forward. Now, I know some people, when it comes to elections and things like that, a lot of people come out, political parties, and say that this is in your interest, but then you should read the blueprint and make a judgment. Maybe the Conservative candidate's for you, maybe the Tory or the Lib Dems for you, or maybe it's somebody else. But I think it's important that you do make a judgment. So you have to make a judgment.
Okay, we're leading on from that, but most people probably vote in a traditional manner, which is maybe their father voted Labour, or so the family voted Labour, and they stick to voting that way. If you agree, just nod. And how can you convince a Labourite to vote Conservative?
I think it's changing. I think it's there's a lot of because of the way we get our news as well. We get our news from so many different sources now. It's not just and people are not willing to read different materials, but they just get exposed to different materials. So therefore, they may make different judgments, as perhaps maybe 20 or 30 years ago, where perhaps Labour and Conservative families were more entrenched. Now, young people and even old people, they make decisions on different points. So I think that is changing. The question is if more people are coming out or not coming out.
We're staying on that point about young people, because it's Nathan there who we know, who we do a lot of work with. You're a young man, Nathan. How old are you now? 23? 23. Have you voted?
No, I haven't voted.
So I would ask, why not?
Never voted.
So do you know, what do you think is in your interest?
Regarding what?
Regarding your life?
Well, I don't, regarding voting, I've just never really thought of it. Really.
But regarding your life in terms of where you want to go, what do you think is in your interest? Is it in your interest for there to be some support mechanism in terms of getting a job that you want, a particular job that you want? Is there enough money being spent in areas that you're interested in, whether it's the arts or whether it's sports or leisure? Is it safe for you to be outside on the streets?
I don't know, man. Look, boy, it depends on what you do, innit? Okay. It's a hard question, innit? I think really and truthfully, it depends on your views about things, innit? And it depends on, I'm into my music and that, so I don't really particularly think that there's a lot of things in the area regarding music, because when I first started it, I was quite young, so I would say about 13, 14, and there weren't really no studios around here that I could go to, so more time I was either playing football or just hanging around with the wrong people. So regarding the musical aspects, but then again, like I say, maybe if you're into warehouse work and things like that, then you may be able to find a job. So it depends on what kind of area you're looking into, innit?
Yeah, I mean, how much money do you want to be earning?